All right, so this video is gonna be really fun. In fact, I just put up an Instagram post that's been going viral, really discussing the truth about how big you can get when you get shredded, when you get really lean, 5-6% body fat. And recently, just a couple weeks ago, I got my body fat tested. I did the DEXA scan again. It pegged me at 6%. I've gotten even leaner now, so somewhere in the 5 to 6s on the DEXA scan. Now you could say it's off by 1%. You could say it's off by 2%, but you can't say it's off by more than that. So regardless, we're at that low body fat. And most people that do the DEXA scan, it picks them higher. So there's that video by Alberto Nunez. I think he got 6.6%. That could have pegged him higher. He could have been around 5% or 4.8. But the reality holds true about what we're gonna talk about today. And in that Instagram post, I pretty much said, here's the truth about training naturally. Here's the truth about getting into really good condition. You're not gonna weigh that much. And a lot of people get into fitness, they get into lifting thinking they're gonna be 200 pounds and ripped with 6-pack abs, and it does not happen. And the level of definition I'm talking about, where you look insane, goes further, it goes deeper than 6-pack abs. I can have 6-pack abs at 11% body fat, sometimes even 12%. But what I can't get at that body fat is what happens when you get really lean. You get the chiseled face, you get more vascularity, you know, your cheek gets sunken in right here. You start to see tendons on the face, veins come out everywhere on the lower abs. You just look chiseled. And so the reality is I'm gonna give you some numbers right now. And I'm also this is gonna call out a lot of people in the YouTube industry, the fitness industry, because there's a lot of people that sit on their chairs and they say, oh, you know what? I'm 200 pounds, I'm fairly lean. If so, fact so, if I just cut, 20 pounds of pure fat, I can go from 15% body fat down to 5%, and I'll be, 185 at 5%. Okay, I see these people in the fitness industry that think because, they have a good amount of muscle at 11, 12, 15% body fat, that they're gonna be the biggest guys when they shred down. And here's the truth. There is a very strong limit, a hard stop to how big you can be at 5 to 6% body fat. In fact, Martin Burkhan of Lean Gains, he had a really good calculation that I haven't seen anything be more dead on than his calculation. And that's taking your height in centimeters. I'm 178, I'm 5'10", that's 178 centimeters. Subtracting 100, okay, so I have 78 now. That's your weight in kilos. And that's the biggest you can be at 5 to 6%. So 78 times 2.2 gets you about 172 pounds. So the biggest I can get is about 172. Now, that's if you're slightly dehydrated and you don't have full glycogen stores, because that's kind of depleted. So if you add 3 pounds, that's more accurate. So 175. So at 5'10", right now, I'm 175 right now. I've been lifting weights intensely for 15 years, since I was 14 years old. I even was doing push-ups and a little bit of bicep curls before then. But from 14 years old, I've been training intensely, tracking my workouts, adding weight as much as I could to the bar for 15 years. And I'm 175 and freaking lean as hell. That's the biggest I can get. And that's considering good genetics and really hard training. Again, very few people watching this, very few people in the fitness industry, even a lot of personal trainers have not trained consistently for 15 years. The only time I took time off the gym was when I had an injury and I was told by my injury specialist to not lift weights for the course of the rehabilitation. So in those 15 years, the most amount of time I took off the gym was 3 months, but other than that, I've been hitting the gym consistently. I'll never go 4 or 5 days without hitting the weights. Crazy. So for you listening to this, maybe you're taller, maybe you're shorter, basically add 5 pounds for every inch or subtract 5 pounds for every inch. And so if you're 6 feet, 175, it'd be 185 is the biggest you can get. If you're 6'2", it's 195. If you're 6'3", it's 200 pounds. If you're 5'9", it's 170. 5'8", 165. 5'7", 160. You get the idea. That's the biggest you can get. The biggest you can get at a low body fat. Now, a lot of people they're like, oh, I'm 215, 220, I'm 15%. I can see that I'm pretty lean. I'll be shredded at 190. It's not gonna happen. 2 reasons. 1, people have no clue how much fat they have. Because the fat distribution patterns fluctuate. So a lot of people might store a lot of their fat in their legs, in their butt, and they might have some abs, at a higher body fat. But again, you have to lose a lot more fat than you think. So someone that's like 215 pounds that thinks they have 20 pounds of fat to lose, it's more like double. It's more like 30, 40. And you'll see that when you step on the DEXA scan, because so many people do the DEXA scan, they're like, oh yeah, I'm probably 10% or probably 15, and they're like 5% bigger than they think they are, 5% fatter than they think they are. Now the second reason is that, and this is what people do not talk about in the fitness industry, this does not get talked about enough. So we have the fat-free mass index. Everyone knows about the fat-free mass index. It's basically a calculation to determine how muscular you are based on your height and weight. So somebody that's 200 pounds and 10% at 6'4" will have a lower fat-free mass index of someone that is the same weight, same body fat, but is shorter, 5'10". You get the picture. It's a way to predict how muscular you are. And so the fat-free mass index, from the research, we cannot prove that someone can go outside of the 24, 25 fat-free mass index. Before the steroid era, there was contest bodybuilders, and the biggest they got was, a fat-free mass index of 24, 25. Now it's important to note that these guys were contest ripped. So they were at the 5 to 6% body fat, about 5% body fat. They're contest ripped. So what I want to talk about is, here's the truth. You can probably get bigger than a 24, 25 fat-free mass index naturally. You can probably get bigger than that, 100%. Because I know if I'm around a 24 fat-free mass index, okay, and I'm at a low body fat, if I was going to go put on 20 pounds and gain some fat, yes, I can gain more muscle. So the fat-free mass index only really works when you get down to 5 to 6% body fat, because it's so much harder to hold on to muscle at a low body fat. It is way harder, especially when you already have a good amount of muscle. Now, why is that? Why is it so much harder to hold on to muscle at a low body fat? Okay, this is what we're going to talk about right now. And first, of course, if you're maintaining a low body fat, you can't eat as much. You can't eat as much food as someone that's going to stay around 12, 13%. If someone's going to spend more time lean bulking, more time putting on size, and less time focusing on leanness, they're going to be able to eat more. So they get that advantage. They get to eat more, so they get to put on a bit more size. If you look at sumo wrestlers, even ones that barely even lift weights, they have way more muscle than me. It's because with all that fat, any sort of growth is anabolic. You're just building tissue. So even if you're eating a shit ton, doesn't mean you're just gaining fat. You're probably gaining a little bit of muscle. If you have a friend that's 250 pounds, they have way more muscle than me, but they have a ton of fat. For the most part, someone that's 6'2", 250, they have a lot of muscle. But the real reason I want to talk about that very few people discuss, and this pertains more so if you take someone that's at 15% body fat, okay? Let's say you have someone that's 200 pounds, 15% body fat, okay? And you want to get them down to 5%. On paper, if they lose 20 pounds, of just pure fat, they'll get to 5% body fat. On paper, that makes sense. Unfortunately, if they have a high level of muscle, it's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen because as you get under 10% body fat, as you get to 9 to 8 to 7 to 6 to 5, you're getting closer to what is called essential levels of body fat. Now, what is this? What are essential levels of body fat? Well, in men, essential levels of body fat is around 3%. So you need 3% for your bodily functions. You need 3% of your body needs to be fat for your bodily functions. If you have less than that, you are dead. You cease to exist. You are in the process of dying. You simply need that fat. That's why it's called essential fat. So when you get to a low body fat, 7, 6, 5, you are encroaching essential levels of body fat. Your body will not burn off 100% body fat as you get close to 5% body fat. The reason being is because your body has a bigger requirement, a bigger desire than making you look big and shredded. It wants to keep you alive. And so if you keep losing pure body fat all the way down to 5%, and that was to continue, eventually when you get to 3%, your body will start to shut down. And so as you get closer to 5%, your body's gonna start to tap into muscle tissue. And the amount of muscle you can hold at 5%, is less than what your body can hold at 7%. It's less than what your body can hold at 9%. It's less than what your body can hold at 10%. So here, that's the truth about getting really, really lean, is you're not gonna weigh that much. And you're gonna have to, and the biggest you're gonna be, if you're 5'10", if you're my height, the biggest you're gonna be at 5-6% is about 175, and that's impressive. And even if you were 10 pounds lighter than that, you'd still look fucking awesome. You're 15 pounds, if you're 160, 5'10", 5-6%, you look sick. Look at Brad Pitt in Fight Club. He was about 155, and he's 5'11", 5'11 and a half, 155. Shredded. He was about 5% body fat for that movie. He looks insane. People are freaking out about his physique. Ryan Reynolds, he stays around 6-7%. He's not that, he's 6'2", but he's not weighing 200 pounds. He's probably around 185 when he gets really, really lean. So that's just kind of the truth I wanted to talk about. And so a lot of these fitness guys that have been lifting and they like to stay around 10%. They like to stay around 10, 11%, 12%. You guys, I would love to see how big and strong you are when you get down to 6%, 5%, 6%. You'll be blown away. If they're gonna do it naturally, they'll be blown away at how much harder it is. And this is what I've been working on for the last, several years. How do I hold that muscle? How do I build that muscle? How do I maintain that muscle while staying at a low body fat? And even I went on a bulk. I got up to 185, 186 pounds at my biggest. And that was like a year right before I kind of cut my hair. So about a year and a half ago. And so I thought that, at 185, 186 and still pretty damn lean, I'd be shredded at 179, 178. And no, it's more like 174, 173, So even if you go back and you try and bulk up and try and put on more weight, you're still not gonna be able to beat that number I gave you. It's about a 24 fat-free mass index, or again, 6 foot, 185, 6'2", 195. 5'8", would be 165. You're not gonna be bigger than that, And you guys can go and throw out examples of, professional athletes that are 200 pounds. And here's the deal. They're not 5-6% body fat. Very rarely are any professional athletes 5 to 6% body fat, or even 7-8%. Most of them are around 10 to 12%. Sometimes 15%. These athletes train a shit ton. They need to eat a lot. There's no benefit for them to be under 9% body fat. So they carry more, unless they're in a weight class sport. That's when you see more leanness, is when you have someone that has to make weight, like fighters, for example, fall into that category. Or people that have to use their weight, gymnasts have to carry their weight. But other than that, if it's not weight sports, nobody's 5-6%. And even a lot of these professional athletes, even if they're tested events, just do your own research. A lot of these guys still are using stuff. I don't know this in depthly, but a lot of these experts that will talk about it, it's like the testing doesn't matter. The testing just basically shows you who's an idiot and who can't pass a test. That's all it does. So that's the reality. That's the truth. But here's the deal. I think you're gonna look fucking awesome at a low weight. I'm 175. I love my look. I've been bigger. I've had a bit more fat, but I've had a bit more muscle too. I prefer the chiseled look. I get the chisel, I get the chiseled features, the chiseled face. It looks way more impressive. I've been getting on my Instagram, I'll get tons of DMs when I post my updates and stuff. People are like, oh, fuck, your best physique ever. And so when I'm leaner, that's when I get way bigger response. And that's kind of just what I want to talk about today. So I'm going to set it out there, a lot of these guys, you're gonna have to get way leaner than you think. Way leaner. It is a hell of a lot leaner. You don't realize how much fat you have until you do the DEXA, because you're holding fat in your legs, your butt. You're holding fat all over your body, but it might not be as much in your stomach. You might have distribution where you store it elsewhere, and then you start to lose weight, but then the fat's not coming off the stomach that fast. You're more so leaning up in other areas. So I just want to throw that video out there. I hope you really found it useful. And that's it. Peace.